Hello, this is Chris Haskell from They Live by Film. For those that don't know us, Adam, Zach, and we built a podcast over the last 2 years that's a combination of film discussion from 3 very different perspectives, as well as industry interviews with the leaders in boutique Blu-ray and 4K community. We started with Dev Crocodile, but over time we've been lucky enough to speak with Arrow Video, Severin, Mondo Macabro, Vinegar Syndrome, Radiance, Indicator, most of the OCN partner labels. It's been a blast. You can find us wherever you podcast, and also actually recently as part of Someone's Favorite Production Podcast Network. We hope to see you online.
Hello, my name is Kevin Tudor, and I'm one of the 3 hosts of Almost Major, a film podcast dissecting many major indie studios and the films they release. Every week, myself, Charlie Nash, and Bryden Doyle discuss overlooked, forgotten, or bona fide classic indie films via studio-specific miniseries. We've previously covered numerous films from Artisan Entertainment, Lionsgate Films, and New Line Cinema. Titles including The Blair Witch Project, American Psycho, Dogville, But I'm a Cheerleader, Saw, Requiem for a Dream, and Ringmaster. You know, the Jerry Springer film. Anyways, we have a fun time every week, and we hope you will join us. Subscribe to Almost Major wherever you get your podcasts. Now proudly a part of the Someone's Favorite Productions Podcast Network.
Have you ever wanted to dive deeper into the horror movies you love? Beyond the Blood is a horror podcast for fans who want more than just surface level screams. We do deep dives into the movies that shaped us, digging into director commentaries, behind the scenes stories, deleted scenes, and the special features that most people skip. Each episode is a love letter to the genre. We break down how these films were made, the creative risks that paid off or didn't, and the lasting impact they've had on the genre as a whole. From 70s slashers to modern nightmares, we celebrate the craft, chaos, and characters that keep us coming back. If you're the kind of fan who rewatches movies with the commentary on, or you simply grew up in the video store horror aisle, the Beyond the Blood podcast was made for you. New episodes every single week. Subscribe, let's dig deep. Welcome to the Beyond the Blood podcast.
Welcome to Rankin on Bass, an offhanded joke that became a short-lived, now kind of long-lived podcast. I'm your host, Mike White. Joining me is an elf who wants to be a dentist, Mr. Chris Dashew.
Far from the land of elves on this episode. My God in heaven, we've gone off the reservation entirely. Straight out to the bejesus belt, as they would say.
And also along for the ride is Snowmeister, Richard Haddam.
Hey guys. This has gone from a short-lived podcast to the podcast that would not die.
So Richard is saying that he wants his podcast to stop, yet we all know he looks forward to talking to us on a semi-monthly basis, regardless of what his scowl may say on his face.
Look, Rankin and Bass keep testing me, and boy, was this week a test. Let me tell you.
On this podcast, we discuss the works of Arthur Rankin Jr. and Jules Bass, specifically some of their stop motion and animated work. On this episode, we're looking at the 1982 film adaptation of Peter S. Beagle's book, The Last Unicorn. The film is a star-studded animated tale about the titular unicorn and her quest to find if she is truly the last of her kind. Nice. And I grew up watching this movie, but going back and rewatching it recently, I had absolutely no memory of Jimmy Webb and the band America being part of this. Completely wiped out of my brain. None of it.
Yeah, man, that fucking 1982 musical aesthetic. Oh, God, I literally just want to take a power drill to my temple.
Oh, my God. I thought that one of the songs was Willie Nelson because it was just so, like... It was, look, I love Willie Nelson, but I know a lot of people find Willie Nelson grating because of Willie Nelson's voice. And I think it was like the second song in this movie. I was just like, boy, if you hate Willie Nelson, you're going to find this song grating. Because it was like that faux Southern folksy shit that it doesn't work here. It works in other things. It probably would work in like the Rankin and Bass Return to the King because it's kind of folksy and shit. This is a high fantasy. Like this music does not work here. It's a fantasy world, not like a realm of reality at all.
I would listen to this soundtrack on the way to the Renaissance Fair.
Oh my God, I was literally going to say that. It's literally, it brought back so many unpleasant memories of me, trying to make out with someone and it not happening. But Mike, I'm older than you, right? We're not the same age, are we?
I am 49 this year.
Oh, okay. Well, you're definitely younger than me, but you're closer than I thought. I'm 54, so 5 years. So we're not in
You're
high
not
school
54. Get out of here,
dude. I am 5'4", born in 1966.
It must be. There's something in the water out there, West Coast, man.
I'm living in the Hotel California, baby.
You can check out any time you like, baby.
But you just can never leave.
I've had a lot of work done.
All right, Joan.
But seriously, I mean, the amount of time sitting in the back of someone's car and someone else putting in this cassette of this kind of music, because this is just pre 1983 British new wave, pop explosion of the 80s. This is just before the 80s music got good. This is just like the dregs and the fumes of the 70s. 1982, 81, just horrible years for music before suddenly you're hearing, the Eurythmics and fucking, then and Michael Jackson, all the good stuff in the 80s, Madonna, all the fun shit, that all started 6 months after this movie.
Jimmy Webb, I mostly know him as a songwriter, which he wrote Up and Away, My Beautiful Balloon, some real horseshit type of bubblegum stuff. But then
he wrote Wichita Lineman.
Oh, and he also wrote one of the best songs ever, MacArthur Park.
He wrote MacArthur Park.
Dude,
I don't care how many Wichita Linemen you write.
Hey, I like Wichita Lineman.
Wichita Lineman's a fine song.
I do too, but that doesn't excuse everything else he does. Hitler liked dogs.
Whoa. Well, that's a hell of a jump there.
Yeah, Jimmy Webb suddenly responsible for murdering Jews. Wow.
Jimmy Webb, not Hitler.
I'm sorry. It's the mood this animated film put me in, an ornery mood. I tell you, I literally, if I saw a living unicorn right now, I'd strangle it to death with my bare hands.
Wow. Apparently I liked this a lot more than you did.
Apparently I liked / tolerated this more than Richard did.
Yeah.
Oh, no. And this ain't just my hangover. This was...
Richard, get out of here.
It's like, let's talk about everything Richie hates. Let's begin. The genre of fantasy, okay, which you might be surprised considering I've worked and written in those genres.
Yeah.
But this kind of fantasy, this sort of kings and elves and princes and the unicorn and the magician. Yeah, no. This animation style, no. It's not even sexy. It's not even like something you'd see spray painted on the side of a van.
You can really see the Japanese, that it is Japanese animation here. And it's interesting that they're animating on the twos through this whole thing. So it's got a little bit of, not herky jerk, but it's just a little strange. And then occasionally they'll animate on the ones, but doing animation on the twos to save money. But then also the character design. I don't know who it was doing their character design, but at the beginning when they're in the forest and there's the two guys, one who is a dead ringer for Schmendrick. So it's like, we'll just recycle this guy's face later on, just make his nose a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And then the other guy, I'm just like, he just walked right out of The Hobbit. He looks like a tall dwarf. I'm just like, okay, you just recycled your characters from the Hobbit movie here.
Well, we all look alike, so.
Yeah.
Richard, I'm really shocked you didn't find this at all charming.
Yeah, same here.
Alan Arkin,
Well,
Jeff Bridges. I mean, Renee Auberjonois.
You probably
Like
got unexcited about Alan Arkin rather quickly. Alan Arkin
Schmendrick?
he is sleeping through this performance.
As was I.
That's fair. It's the thing I had heard about this from everybody who I told that I was watching this for the first time, and a lot of people actually have a lot of opinions on this, surprisingly, is everybody in this movie seems to be sleeping through their performances. And boy, aren't they, except for Christopher Lee, apparently, which is, and Renee Auberjonois, but that's because Renee Auberjonois is in the movie once. And I guess Paul Frees. So you have like 3 people in this movie who aren't sleeping, but man, Jeff Bridges, bro, doing the dude long before the dude was a thing, I see.
But based on like the screenplay itself and the style of the speech, and then the way it was directed by Rankin and Bass, it's that overly earnest sort of I'm talking down to children articulation. No, I am surprised in this moment. I'm like, come on, really? Is this what we're doing now? It literally felt like it was being aimed at young, like pre-middle school.
Which is interesting given the subject material.
Well, yeah. Given that the harpy has 3 big boobs just hanging out of its chest.
Yes. Yeah.
Or the tree with the big knockers.
Oh, man. I can't imagine seeing this as a kid. What the fuck is up with that, man?
I'm engaged to a Douglas fir.
Well, and then even Lady Althena, I can't remember
Amalthea.
Amalthea, right, which was the name of the first unicorn, right? The one that Zeus created. But her character's design is very belladonna of sadness. And I don't know if you guys have seen that one, but that's like kind of X-rated-ish, very, very sexy cartoon, very beautifully done, and it's almost less animation and more still images. It's a great thing, but her character looks so similar to the main character from that, and even a little bit from I think it's Angel Egg, another old anime that I want to say that was like 76, but I can't swear to it. I am definitely not up on my anime.
Well, it's a little disturbing because I never know how to feel about, it's like, why the sexy animation? It's just not a part of American animation, really, right, in terms of the big commercial stuff. I mean, there's Heavy Metal Magazine or whatever, but it's like you don't get a lot of that, and then it's like, oh wait, suddenly I feel like I'm watching hentai or something. It's like, what's going to happen? We're suddenly going to get tentacle porn happening. It's odd. It takes me out. I'm like, oh wait, what age is this for? Like adults? What's happening here? Why is there this joke in the middle of what feels like a child's movie?
Right. 85 for Angel's Egg. So put your tweet down in case you're trying to correct me.
Well, and to your point, Mike, the animation style in this movie is a mix of things. It doesn't feel very uniform in its presentation. I mean, you have Schmendrick, who is done about as boringly of a wizard character as possible. It's about as generic a wizard character as you could see. And then you do have the unicorn, who is done so, differently. I mean, in a way that I think doesn't, like you kind of already mentioned, doesn't really work in the movie's scope because it feels removed from everything else. And obviously, the fact that the unicorn becomes human halfway through the movie is the big issue in the movie about, learning about regret and love and all that fun stuff. But it is very strange to me, the art style, because it doesn't seem to be at any point in the movie uniform or unified in what they're trying to present, which, again, very odd, even for Rankin and Bass. But again, Disney and everybody else, normally it's a single vision across the entire film. And in this one, it is not at all.
Well, this whole, so I read most of the book and then I've watched this a few times. And the book has the same, issue that the movie does, which is there's no sense of what time we are in, what world we're in at all. There's one line that I will bring up that just kills me every single time, but there's that stupid fucking butterfly at the beginning who is just singing all of these songs, which puts it into who knows what era, but like, won't you come home, Bill Bailey, and all of these things. I'm like, what's going on with this thing? Like, is this butterfly like go through time and space in order to get here? But
he's from A Knight's Tale.
The thing that kills me is when they run into eventually the last unicorn meets this wizard Schmendrick, who's voiced by Alan Arkin, and they meet this band of woodsmen who are very similar to Robin Hood, but then he actually makes Robin Hood and Maid Marian appear. But when they're sitting down, the one guy's like, "Hey, yeah, let's have a taco," and I'm just like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, it's like exactly. That's what the tin ear of the tone is. It was shocking, and the tone. And again, this is personal, but for me, that tone of sort of wide-eyed fantasy sort of thing is not my favorite. But then when the humor is expressing itself as weird references that are clearly outside the bounds of whatever aesthetic we're working with, that I like that even less.
Yeah, because then they make a thing about Robin Hood, which made no sense. They're like, and here's a story about Robin Hood. It's like, Robin Hood is a thing here?
Yeah.
Well, that they know about. And then Robin Hood appears, he makes them appear, but they're clearly ghost-like.
Schmendrick, yeah.
Yeah, they don't have a physical reality to them. And yet it's unclear if the people, because it appears that the people within the scene are going, hey, it's Robin Hood, even though no one's listening. They're like night marchers just moving through the scene. And one of them's like, I'm going off with Robin Hood. And it's like, wait a second, are you not seeing that Robin Hood and Maid Marian, they're all transparent? Is that just something for our benefit? Or are you telling us it's like tipping your hand to the audience? Hey, it's fake, it's magic, but they don't realize it because to them it looks real, but to what end? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's that whole question too about legend versus not legend, and just the guy that they meet in the forest, who's voiced by Keenan Wynn. He's so concerned about his legacy and all this, and there's that whole, it kind of runs through the film as far as like, what do we leave behind? And I think like King Haggard might have a little bit of that on his mind. There's a whole curse around him and all this kind of stuff, but yeah, it's just, they don't necessarily delve into it that much. Like I feel like I'm slamming the film a little bit, and I have room to critique it. Definitely. I still enjoy it, but yeah, there's a lot of things where I'm just like, they could have handled that better. Like maybe cut out some songs and give us a little bit more there. But I will say that it's a really faithful adaptation because the screenwriter is the same person that wrote the book. So he should have taken the time to kind of flesh out some of this stuff, because he really doesn't flesh it out that much in the book. There's a lot of times where I'm reading and I'm just like, whoa, now we're here now? Who is this Mommy Fortuna character? Why am I here all of a sudden? And it's like they could have really explored that a lot more. This whole idea of like, people are so not believing in magic these days that she has to make a fake horn for the unicorn in order to make people see that she's a unicorn, that they can't see her in her natural state.
Yeah, I was curious about the book that you said you read. Now, first of all, was it originally written in English, or is this a translation?
It's English, yeah.
It is English. I mean, Peter Beagle sounds pretty English, but some of these like hardcore, like more fantasy level books are like written in German, because I think it's a pretty popular genre there. But anyway, I mean, is this the tone of the book? Like, was the book a more unified, creative endeavor than what this is, or?
There are a couple things that are not here in the movie. There's a thing where Prince Lear, the Jeff Bridges character, where it's him and his fiance, and then he eventually ends up leaving the fiance. And there's also this whole thing about a town that is right outside of King Hagrid's castle. And there's this whole thing about how one of the people from the town will eventually bring down the castle. And so rather than, I think it was like a child of them will do that. And so rather than have children, they all just stop having kids because they live in this luxurious place. Like the weed is always coming in. They've got all this money, all this kind of stuff. But then somebody ended up having a child and the child disappeared. So you put two and two together and you're like, oh, it's Prince Lear. Okay. But yeah, it's pretty darn similar.
Yeah, it's sort of a grab bag. I mean, you just described Oedipus, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, again, I was excited because of all the voice talent, but then became increasingly less excited as I...
The voice talent is not put to good use here, especially Jeff Bridges.
These were all huge people. I mean, I wonder...
Well, they're huge. I think the issue is some of the people were huge then. Obviously, Mia Farrow, Alan Arkin.
Yeah,
Jeff Bridges, not so much. I mean... You know, there was a video that talks about this movie, as there are a lot of videos that talk about this movie on YouTube. And I, by Chroma Lore, we'll link to it. It's a great video. It breaks this down more than I think any one of us really want to for a number of reasons. Because I don't really feel like putting together an hour-long video about The Last Unicorn. But apparently Jeff Bridges did it for free because he wanted to be involved with this project, which is weird to me given how little effort it seems like he put into this. And again, we know Jeff Bridges is a good actor now. Like there's not a question of that, I think, in any one of our minds. But it's very strange to me because I had heard that Jeff Bridges was bad in this.
And this is 1982.
It's 1982. This is, again, not the golden age of screen animation either. Like I'm trying to figure out what auspices or prestige, or was there a movie that had just come out and they're like, okay, believe me, this fantasy thing has taken off. This is gonna be the biggest movie of all time. Like, what made people go, oh, for sure, I will do this instead of that? And I cannot figure it out. And certainly not doing it for free.
Well, that's what I don't understand was this like a prestige project at the time to be part of this? Because it doesn't feel like it.
I mean, Rankin and Bass were definitely, I think, according to our timeline, not at their height. They were past it. You know, and again, you just sort of do the math in your head. Was there a really popular animated movie that broke all the records 2 years before this came out, thus making everyone go, oh, animation, let's do it, everybody? And I don't think so.
I don't think there was. I know things like Secret of Nim were coming out right around this time, and I want to say Dark Crystal was coming out a little bit after this. So you had that kind of fantasy thing going on. Actually, I take it back. Dark Crystal was the same year. So all of this fantasy stuff is coming out right around the same time. I don't know if this is like some sort of reaction to like The Empire Strikes Back and Star Wars phenomenon, or if there was something, obviously it's not Conan that's kicking this off.
I mean, even something like Black Cauldron comes out in the 80s, and everybody knows that Disney doesn't talk about Black Cauldron until they do.
And the book was not a phenomenon, in America at all. It's not like, oh yeah, every child knows this book. It wasn't the Harry Potter of 1981. So
right. Well, and it was published in 68. So quite a long time between the two.
Oh, was it Lord of the Rings? Was that it? Were people still thinking, oh, Hobbit, Lord of the Rings?
I mean, that's why Rankin and Bass that's why it's Rankin and Bass doing this, because Rankin and Bass are the ones who do Return of the King and the Hobbit animated films.
Right.
I mean, because that's the thing about this, like, even if you've never seen those, if you watched those, you would see the influences are very similar. I mean, the art style outside of the unicorn in this movie is very similar. It looks similar enough that you could confuse them ostensibly for one another if you didn't know what you were looking at.
Do you guys know if the Rankin and Bass Lord of the Rings, I mean, was that considered a success creatively, financially?
Well, I know I sure watched it on TV quite a few times when it was on. I mean, the Hobbit and the Return of the King. And I don't know why, and I hope that we can find out somebody that can tell us why it's the Hobbit and Return of the King.
Right.
And why I know the Two Towers and the Fellowship of the Ring as part of that. Because I specifically remember the march through Mordor, with Sam and Frodo wearing the orc masks and stuff. So it's like, I don't remember, you have my axe and my bow, like none of that stuff being in there. I don't even remember if Legolas and Aragorn and those guys are in that version.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that we might
It's odd.
do that next month.
There are some of the characters are in it. Legolas is not in it.
All right.
Gimli doesn't seem to be in it either. It seems to be a very amended version of the book, which, given what we have now, with the new films, more contemporary Jackson films.
Are you talking about the Amazon series?
Oh yeah, that one, the one that's going to cost $425 million. That one,
yeah, still less than Bezos's boat
with a support boat on it. His boat has a boat. It's what I think the kind of the weird thing that I walk away from Last Unicorn with is, this video that Mike, you had sent along, talked about, because again, I don't have a frame of reference here. So it's interesting to hear other people talk about this. That's like, I was like, this is like traumatic for me. Or like when I was, growing up in the 80s as a kid, this was something that like I think back on, and like movies in the 80s were pushing the envelope more than like kids' movies in the 90s were. And if I had watched this as a kid, it probably would have make me feel certain ways about certain things, because there are parts of this that are disturbing in the same vein as Labyrinth, Dark Crystal, a lot of that kind of similar stuff. Secret of Nim, Watership Down, what have you. But at the end of the day, I think this movie's message is too obtuse to land, because it wants to talk about humanity and regret and death, but it never really wants to talk about it. It wants to just kind of dance around it with the character, the unicorn, and Jeff Bridges' character interacting. And the problem is because Jeff Bridges' performance is so sleepy and so one note throughout the entire movie, anytime him and Mia Farrow try to have, like, their characters try to have a serious conversation on screen, he sounds insanely disinterested. So the best time in the film that you have two performances off of one another is the scene with the unicorn and Chris Lee on top of the parapet talking, and he like flips out and starts telling her the story about where all the unicorns are. That's the most intriguing part of this entire movie. It's such a well thought out scene. It's such a well put together and well shot scene that it almost puts the rest of the film to shame with how kind of one note it is.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. I like Tammy Grimes' performance.
Oh, yeah.
And I especially like when she berates the unicorn, just like, where were you when I was a young maiden?
It's so sad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And she knows she's kind of used up and everything. And it's interesting that she and Schmendrick are just like there for the unicorn when they end up going to the castle, and the unicorn just ends up like wandering around as Lady so-and-so and just like, oh yeah, the prince is bringing me dragon heads and I'm not interested. And they're like doing the heavy lifting, like, let's figure out what's going on. Let's talk to this fucking cat and figure out what's going on with this. I have to say that the image that stuck with me for all of these years is Renee Auberjonois as the skeleton.
The skull, yeah.
Yeah, and I always could picture that, which is so funny because it's such a minor part of it, and it's so late in the film, and it's like that was the image that just stuck with me for all of these years.
That stole the entire movie for me.
Oh yeah,
it's that good.
It's really good.
I think what we're all talking about is a lot of things get brought up and sort of like that box gets checked. We've made a reference to this feeling and that emotion and this dynamic of life. But when your main character has a personality the unicorn is aloof. Mm-hmm. That's like the word I would use to describe the unicorn's behavior throughout. Somewhat aloof. Its emotions are focused inward more than outward. And that's a tough main character to have. Mm-hmm. And they clearly, the story is structured around her search for the other unicorns, but there doesn't seem to be a lot at stake. It seems a little existential, which again is why I questioned if this was originally written in English, because that's just not Western storytelling. It's like, if you've got a character on a quest, we have to be constantly reminded of life or death stakes that the character themselves has to recognize, not just the characters around them. And I never felt that. Did you?
No, I mean, I didn't, because the the idea of her being the last unicorn, like you said, there's no stakes to that. Like, what happens if she dies?
Yeah, other than because it's existential.
Right.
So it's sort of like, oh yeah, I guess it would be weird to be the last of your kind. That's an interesting thing to ponder. But it wasn't like, yeah, but when I die, all magic on Earth dies and all existence will be plunged into a dark cauldron of hell.
Right.
That's how we tell stories in the West.
Yeah.
Well, and the other funny thing is for all intents and purposes, she already is dead because humanity has forgotten about her long ago anyways.
Mm-hmm.
It is strange to me because like you mentioned, Richard, there are no stakes. It's just she wants to figure out if she's the last of her kind because she wants to find out, which is fine. But again, it would seem like there should have been a little bit more stakes than that.
Well, her losing her unicornness and becoming more human as she gets, transferred into the human body, it's like that should have been more. There should have been more of like, I'm forgetting who I am. I forget that I have magic, that I could do magic. There's a scene in the book that I think they should have kept, which was at one point, Lear goes and is fighting a dragon, and the dragon blasts him and his horse with fire, and the poor horse, his legs get all burned up. So the unicorn comes down as Lady Almanthea and sees this poor horse and goes over and like puts her hand on it, and the horse stops crying. But then her power is to heal, and she can't heal the horse, and the horse ends up dying. And so it's just like this real blow to her of like, oh, my magic is going away. Like, it's partially there that she could give it a little bit of succor, but she could not heal this poor thing, and that it dies. She feels really horrible about it. I was like, yeah, keep that scene in there because that's really important.
Well, that's a really interesting thing, but I would immediately say that's a scene that makes a lot of sense in a story about a unicorn whose quest is to become human.
Mm-hmm.
Then that scene becomes significant because it shows the cost.
Right.
And we can get along on that line of argument that says, oh, so I mean, like, I get that she wants this thing, but if it costs that, is it worth it? Okay, I'm right along with the main thrust of the story. It's an interesting element, but what is it really telling us within the world they're creating? Was that ever something that she valued of herself that we even knew she could do?
Right.
I don't know.
Well, and that's the thing too, is like, hey, like at the end of the day, she's going to have to make a decision. Does she go back to being a unicorn? Does she stay with Prince Lear? Maybe we don't give her that decision and we say, okay, in order to save the unicorn, she has to remain in human form. So she'll never be a unicorn again. But at least she gets true love with Prince Lear.
That's the direction this should have gone. The last unicorn stops becoming a unicorn to free all of the other unicorns.
Right.
Therefore, no longer being said last unicorn, but having to lose her unicornness to not be the last unicorn anymore.
Right. Yeah.
It is like, why that wasn't what this was makes no sense to me, because it feels like the logical progression. Like you mentioned, Richard, whether or not she's trying to be human almost is as unimportant as what happens in this movie, because this movie, they don't even tell you. They just say, well, now she's a unicorn again. Too bad.
For me, for somebody who is not immediately seduced by the tropes of a fantasy story, this is going to be especially problematic because it feels like so much of this was relying on the audience's automatic relishing of, oh, and now here's a princess. Oh, and now here's a king. And it's just by rolling these archetypes out and continuing to say, we're in the world of fantasy. For a lot of people, that's enough. But I was left with the feeling of, yeah, but to what? What's it all adding up to? And I was left pretty cold.
Yeah. I mean, there is a story, again, in the book. They're just like, I think Schmendrick's talking about his master and that his master had turned a unicorn into a person. And the unicorn's like, oh my God, that sounds horrific. To lose because unicorns are supposed to be immortal. So like, oh, to lose your immortality and to have to die as a human, that sounds awful. And it's like, again, maybe you should have like kept that story in there and just like had that bit. And the thing
kind of like
too,
Little Mermaid. Little Mermaid is much more that, you know?
Yeah. The whole thing too of like Schmendrick and his whole like, this doesn't come out in the movie at all, but it's in the book. He's cursed because he's such a bad magician. It's like he can do magic if he just kind of like lets it flow through him. And so he can't really cast spells. And you see that in the scene with Mommy Fortuna, where he's trying to break out the unicorn. And he can't do it. And then he just kind of like lets the magic flow through him. And then he's able to do it. He lets the magic flow through him and he's able to summon Robin Hood. He's able to turn her into a human, but he has no idea if he can ever turn her back. But that is like his greatest trick. And his curse is, you are immortal until you can actually use magic properly, and then you become mortal again and you will die. So he's also like this immortal being who now, for helping out her, has broken his curse, but then now he will die. So it's like, okay, so more interesting stuff. And it's like, come on, Peter, you should have kept some of that stuff in the script. Maybe drop a couple America songs, put up a bit more narrative in there.
You know, for as bad as Jeff Bridges is in this movie, I would contend that Alan Arkin is worse. Talking of the character of Schmendrick, he is terrible in this movie. And he's one of the three leads. He's so I understand a character being disinterested and aloof. It kind of works for the unicorn. Mia Farrow's performance is really good. But Alan Arkin's not the one who needs to be disinterested. He really doesn't need to be that character. And Alan Arkin's voice when he does it is so perfectly monotone. It's shocking.
But keep in mind, though, Rankin and Bass are directing this. And when you're directing animation, you're directing voice. In fact, you start there and the animation follows. So this was intentional. They were saying, okay, so here's what we need from you. You know, this level of, I mean, to a certain degree, a level of realism. Like, don't make it a crazy character voice. I'm Schmendrick. I think I'm a terrible wizard. You know, I mean, you could have gone that direction.
I would have watched this movie 10 more times if that had been the character the entire time.
That would have been like a reunion of Mia and Woody.
Yeah.
I just, my magic, it's not so good.
Wow.
With the spells and the things, yeah.
Somewhere Frank Sinatra's son, Ronan Farrow, is really upset with all three of us.
The cat is talking at me.
Total Schmendrick.
My mother was going to call me Paul, but then instead she called me Schmendrick.
Hey, you know who else is in this movie just to reinforce the fact that it's Rankin and Bass? Paul Frees, everybody.
Oh, yeah. Paul
Voicing a cat.
Paul Frees, Keenan Wynn, who we've seen several times, including the Winter Wizard.
Dan and Kolchak, the Night Stalker.
Yes, and Brother Theodore is in this. And when we talk about The Hobbit, I think it's Brother Theodore that does the voice of Gollum.
Wow.
Brother Theodore.
Yeah. He's pretty great in this as, what was the character's name?
Rook,
yeah.
the hunchback who gets killed by the three-titty harpy.
Yeah.
Because of course he does. I don't know.
Titty Harpy, my favorite album from 1971.
That was an America album, Three Titty Harpy. It's really funny. Every time Paul Frees is in anything, he outclasses everybody, no matter if they're a trained actor or a voice actor or a stage actor doing a cartoon character voice. Paul Frees just outclasses everybody. It's like hilarious how much he outclasses everybody.
I mean, that's his gig, is to be a voice. That's like the only thing he has to do. Meanwhile, Robert Klein and Angela Lansbury, they all have to be in front of the camera, but he's just always back there in the sound booth just doing a great job.
I would have given him more to do than to be the cat. Let's just put it that way.
Well, he's the cat and he's the Schmendrick's boss or his old...
Mabrook.
Yeah, Mabrook.
I keep thinking about what you're saying about Alan Arkin, because it's so frustrating and sad because he's so great, and I love Alan Arkin so much. But you know, when you think about it, his screen performances are usually quite understated, which is the joy of it. The fact that he is a little deadpan, and that what he's keeping in is what creates the tension of the scene. And so, in a way, it's very counterintuitive to have him be in your voice cast, whereas a guy like Paul Frees, so much of his performance is his voice that you get more than you pay for. So maybe it was less he did a bad job and more it was bad casting.
Oh man, and Christopher Lee is just so good as King Haggard. I love him in this. And then of course I had to laugh quite a bit when he falls off of the tower. and I'm just like, oh yeah, I've seen that before.
Saruman, we submit our fealty to Saruman. Richard, not a fan of Lord of the Rings, I can tell.
I saw the movies, the Peter Jackson movies, and I.
But did you see the extended versions? Come on, give us the goods. Extended or not?
I think I did. Whatever was available on Amazon Prime last summer, because we watched all of them, and they were like, how long are the extended versions of the films? Are they in like the 3 hour range?
3.5, yeah.
Yeah,
three and a half.
Return of the King might be 4 hours.
And maybe I didn't. Maybe I saw just because the movies were not short to begin with. Okay, these were not, So, but I watched them and I enjoyed them more the second time around than the first time around, because I was sort of like, okay, well now I know what this is. So, and I could just, but again, it's not my go-to. That and Outer Space. Like there are a lot of people who it's like, as long as people are in that fantasy world, or as long as we're, in a spaceship going somewhere, I'm 90% of the way there. And I'm 90% of the way not there for those two genres. So most of my favorite movies are not going to be in outer space or in the past. And then when you get Star Wars and it's both, you're talking to a guy who's not a fan.
It's okay. I'm not a fan of Star Wars either. But then again, that's because I know what Star Wars would become, which is not good. It's no Star Trek, ladies and gentlemen. That show was written with some class and some style. Often not by Gene Roddenberry. Let's put it that way.
It's no DC Titans.
That's right. Fuck Batman, bro.
This has nothing to do with you can not like something, but at the same time realize that it is a good piece of work, so that's great. I'm just not into it. So, and sometimes it's hard for people. It's like, oh, what do you think? It's a bad movie, and it's like, no, I mean, it's a bad movie, just not where I want to spend 2 hours. So yeah, but Titans, let me tell you that's solid gold entertainment.
This fucking shill right here.
One unintentional laugh that I just kept having during the movie, and I feel a little guilty for laughing every single time. Every time they talked about the Red Bull, I just was like,
the Red Bull.
I know.
He gives you wings.
He gives you wings. Yeah. Why don't you fly out of there? The Red Bull should be giving you wings.
I know. The cast should be drinking him.
Yes.
This movie's popular enough to have gotten a Shout Factory re-release in 2015.
Yeah, with audio commentary, apparently. I didn't realize that, or else I would have picked that up.
With commentary by Peter S. Beagle himself.
Who I don't think is with us anymore. And I want to say he wrote a quasi-sequel where some of the characters show up. I was trying to just figure out.
Peter Beagle's still with us.
Bibliography. Oh, he is still around. Okay, good.
Not with us here, though, because if he was, he would have been getting into a fist fight with Richard already.
Yeah,
I know. Now I feel bad. The intel I was given was that he was dead. I never would have said any of this if I knew he was still crawling the earth.
Two Hearts was the name of the sequel, the spiritual sequel to this.
All right.
Schmendrick and Molly Grew are in it, along with the unicorn.
Oh.
And King Lear in this. He's apparently an aged King Lear. I will not be going and hunting that down.
I thought it was, what I heard was that Two Hearts wasn't finished. So that's why I'm like, all right, I guess he died when he was writing it. That's why I thought he was dead.
I just know that Two Hearts, they beat as one.
Yes.
That's what I've heard.
Two of Hearts.
Two hearts that beat as one. I will say, though, and this is, again, something that I found out through watching that Chroma Lore video, but it's kind of funny that we didn't realize it up until this point. Topcraft became Studio Ghibli.
I thought that it looked very Ghibli-esque. Now, I have never seen a Studio Ghibli film, but Mama Fortuna reminds me of characters that I've seen from grabs of. Like,
reminds me of characters from Howl's Moving Castle.
Okay, because there's like an old woman that whose picture I can see in my
That's
head.
Howl's from Howl's Moving Castle.
Okay.
So, Mike, you've never seen any of those
Miyazaki films?
No.
Thank you, Miyazaki. I kept wanting to say Kurosawa. Miyazaki, you've never seen them.
Never.
Right.
Not one. Nope.
You're fine.
I hadn't seen a lot of them until recently, and I saw Howl's and then watched Totoro and Kiki's Delivery Service. They're not my bag, which is fine. Again, like you mentioned, Richard, just because it's not my bag doesn't mean that I don't think and understand and appreciate that other people enjoy it. But just not my thing.
My boys were shockingly like really into the Miyazaki stuff, and I'm like, oh my god. I mean, they liked a lot of stuff. They were, went through phases, but like
it's not just a phase, Dad.
Hey, Dad.
I love Studio Ghibli. It's not just a phase. I love Ponyo, Dad.
Get out of my house. I'd be walking through the room and suddenly like Kiki's Delivery Service is back on. I'm like, really? Again? Okay.
Voiced by Phil Hartman, too. One of the American dubs has Phil Hartman in it.
Well, Ponyo has Tina Fey.
Yeah, it sure does.
Really?
And Matt Damon, yeah. And Howl's Moving Castle has Christian Bale. He's terrible.
Because Christian Bale's voice is so amazing.
Yeah.
Well, he's definitely not phoning it in or anything. It also has Billy Crystal in it. It's a lot going on.
So the character I was thinking of was Yababa from Spirited Away. So I'm looking at a picture of her right now, and this is who I think looks like Madame
Mommy Fortuna.
Mommy Fortuna, yes.
With great names like Mommy Fortuna.
Yeah.
Tuna.
And it also helps that she's sitting next to a big skull. So I'm like, oh, okay.
Okay, yeah. It does, that's the thing. It's when we talk about Rankin and Bass, we've already talked about enough animated stuff at this point where we talked about Frosty, he's animated. Who else? Who else have we seen animated?
We've seen that. We've seen animated sections in other things.
Bunny.
Yeah.
One of the
Bunny movies. There was an animated section in the Santa Claus is Coming to Town, talking about how the first toy maker to the king. But I will say, like, Molly Grew in this, she seems very much like she was in Frosty the Snowman or something.
Annie Rankin.
Like she walked right out of there.
It's weird because you do have the character of the unicorn who looks like straight out of anime. Then you have the characters who are the like the ones played by Chris Lee and Jeff Bridges who look like they're from Lord of the Rings. Yeah. And then you have Molly Grew who looks like she's from Frosty the Snowman. And then Schmendrick just looks like, I guess, I don't know. I just really didn't like the character of Schmendrick.
I can tell.
It's a really boring character that has no right to be that boring. It's it's a shame. Like, he is one of the leads of this movie, and he is just, it's like listening to Alan Arkin do his performance in this movie. I can't help but wonder how worn down the end of the stick got when they were done poking him to keep him awake in the recording booth. No, it just sounds like and the unicorn. Okay. It's like, damn, dude, man. I mean, look, even Peter Beagle said he didn't like Alan Arkin's performance, so... Well,
if Peter Beagle didn't like it, then I say out with it.
Out with it.
Right. That is right.
Yeah, it was okay, though, I think, overall. I don't know. I'd never seen it before. It's decent enough. I don't think I'm going to search it out. I'm not going to rewatch it.
Yeah, I don't think I will be either.
I could tell, Richard.
But then I felt like I was totally destroying Mike's childhood dream of loving that movie.
Hey, I grew up loving Star Wars, so my dreams have already been destroyed.
Oh, God, I've just taken a shit on everything. Well, wait for Planet of the Apes.
They were destroyed by Mr. George Lucas. So once those Ewoks came on screen.
Oh, it's not me? Okay.
Hey, you know what? You know what the official Star Wars Twitter didn't do on May 14th was wish George Lucas a happy birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Did they forget?
Or maybe they just don't care anymore. Could be a little bit of both. Who knows? Ask Disney. The rat owns it all now. Or excuse me, the mouse, I guess. If I want him to sign my checks, he's not a rat. He's a mouse.
Is he signing your checks?
Well, according to a lot of people that are reviewing our podcast, Mike, we are DC haters.
Oh.
Even though someone we podcast with, it works for DC. So.
Yeah. Interesting.
Come on, you guys. Get on the DC train.
To be fair, the company that Richard works for also hates DC, so it's fine.
They've made it clear.
Yeah, they made it clear their feelings on Warner, or Warner Brothers made their feelings clear on DC. They're releasing a Batman cocktail book later this year. That's what we're keeping in the crosshairs.
Ooh, you mean like
to that?
Like a Batman themed cocktails? I'm in.
Of course you are.
Delicious.
If you said you weren't, they'd hear you.
Ooh, that's the Batarang. Wow, that sounds like
right.
That's a rough drink. Don't have too many Batarangs.
Oh my god,
they'll sneak up on you.
They'll sneak up on you. Yeah. So what are we talking about on the next episode? Are we doing Hobbit stuff?
I would love if we could do Hobbit stuff just to make Richard mad. Richard,
you've got two options: Hobbit or the animated version of the Coneheads.
That's my choice. That's like you can be shot in the head, devoured by a tiger, or shot in the head by a tiger.
Well, the Rankin and Bass did not give us any sort of like summer holiday, 4th of July kind of thing. The closest we got was when that Easter bunny happened to fall into like 4th of July town.
It's true.
Yeah. Let's do the Hobbit.
Oh, okay.
All right.
So when are we going to do The King and I, though? That's the real question.
The King and I?
The King and I was the final Rankin and Bass anything.
Oh, wow. I was just stumbling upon The Sins of Dorian Gray, which is a live action film. And
is it porn? It sounds like porn.
It looks like it's a murder mystery. And when Rankin and Bass's names came up on the title, I was just like, what the fuck? This doesn't look right. So
they're also producers behind a film called The Ivory Ape.
I'd watch it.
Starring Jack Palance.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Bermuda Depths is coming out on Blu-ray pretty soon, so I'm excited to see that. That's another one that they produced.
And The Last Dinosaur.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to see The Flight of Dragons, which I think is also a drink that you can get. But James Gregory's in there, James Earl Jones.
Oh, James Gregory?
Oh, yeah. So
James Gregory?
It's a Luger alert.
It's Luger.
Man, feels like we shouldn't have even talked about this. He just walks in, he looks at the dragons. Hey, you fucking dragons.
What are you doing in here?
What are you doing, dragons? Don McLean sings the opening song for this? Jesus Christ.
Man.
Guys, I'll watch whatever you want me to watch, man. When I got on the Rankin and Bass train, I didn't know where it would take me. And I can't get off before the end of the line.
We don't know where the end is yet.
I know. That's the problem.
We'll find it together.
Well,
thanks everybody for tuning in. I want to thank Abby Stabby for our artwork as well as the Great Octopus for our theme music. Please be sure to subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform. We will be back next month with a look at Rankin and Bass's 2 adaptations of J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit and The Return of the King.
Richard can't wait.